Welcome to the Photos of the Past channel. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. This photo captures a woman visiting the Paris catacombs in the 1930s. Known as the Paris catacombs, this eerie place houses the bones of millions of people, creating a dark and mysterious atmosphere. Despite the woman's calm demeanor, the surrounding skulls evoke a chilling presence. This haunting site stands as a physical monument to death and is one of Paris's most intriguing tourist attractions. This photo shows a South African miner being X-rayed after work in 1954. To prevent miners from smuggling diamonds out of the mines, this inhumane practice was enforced, reflecting the colonial and exploitative methods of the time. This procedure is a stark example of the hardships and invasions of privacy faced by laborers in those years. This photograph shows a medical treatment method from the 1930s. Known as an electric water bath, this procedure involved applying low-voltage electric currents to specific body areas, such as hands and feet, through water. Although considered dangerous today, this treatment was popular at the time for relieving muscle and joint pain. This intriguing photo captures a motorcycle show in Germany during the 1930s. Designed as a modern version of Roman chariots, this performance left a strong impression on audiences. The combination of ancient style with motor power was one of the most creative and innovative spectacles of that era. This astonishing photograph was taken at an alligator park in California during the 1930s. The women are seated at a table in shallow water, enjoying tea while surrounded by alligators. Dangerous stunts like this were often staged to attract tourists. The image highlights the adventurous spirit and bold entertainment trends of that era. On May 13, 1981, Pope John Paul II was shot in an assassination attempt at St. Peter's Square in Vatican City. The attack was carried out by Mehmet Ali Aka, who wounded the Pope, though he survived. This incident marked a turning point in his life, and he later forgave Aka, even visiting him in prison. This tragic photo from 1916 shows Mary the elephant being executed by a crane in Tennessee. Accused of killing a handler, Mary faced this sad fate due to societal pressures. Known as one of the darkest moments in circus history, this event sparked significant debates about animal rights and humane treatment. In this poignant photo from 1947, a mother shows a picture of her missing son to a returning prisoner of war. The worry and longing in her face reveal the deep wounds left by the war, as she clings to the hope of finding her son among the soldiers coming home. This historical photograph, likely from the late 19th or early 20th century, depicts the process of moving a house. In an era before advanced machinery, houses were relocated using the strength of horses to manage the heavy load. The moving process could take days, but with this method, people could bring their homes with them to new locations without leaving them behind. In this photo, Sandra Brown, one of the first black female police officers in the United States, is seen during a shotgun training session. Taken in the 1960s, this image symbolizes her struggle to overcome barriers and join law enforcement. Facing both social and professional challenges, Brown's perseverance has inspired many. This strange-looking device was one of the earliest hairdryers used in the 1920s. Made from metal and quite heavy, it represented the technological advancement of the time. Though difficult and even hazardous to use, it was a groundbreaking innovation in the beauty industry. In the 1920s London, workers were employed to catch rats on railway tracks to combat infestations. This photo shows a rat catcher with his loyal dog, displaying the day's catch. Rat populations were especially high along railway lines, making scenes like this a common sight in those days. This photo captures the drive-in restaurant culture that became popular in the 1950s. At that time, being able to order without leaving the car was a significant innovation for both customers and restaurants. Waitresses often served on roller skates, offering a fun experience. This was a key part of the American lifestyle of the era. Popular in the late 1800s, Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup was used to relieve teething pain in children. However, it contained substances like morphine, which we now know to be dangerous. At the time, it was considered a safe solution, but the syrup had serious health consequences for many infants. In this photo, taken in 1942, we see Norma Jean Mortensen and her first husband, James Dougherty. Norma Jean would later become known as Marilyn Monroe and transform into an icon. At just 16, Monroe had endured a challenging childhood, and this marriage offered her a glimpse of stability. However, as she entered Hollywood, their paths would eventually diverge. This photograph captures a group of lumberjacks cutting down a giant tree in early 1900s America. Tree logging was a dangerous and physically demanding task, requiring massive saws and axes to bring down these giant trunks. The tree is so large that one of the workers can lie inside the cut. This image provides a glimpse into the challenging working conditions of that era. This fascinating photo shows the Central File Archive in Prague, Czechoslovakia, during the 1940s. This unusual system allowed files to be stored on high shelves, with employees seated in elevator-like compartments to access these files. This innovative setup was one of the technological solutions of that era.